What's going on, ladies and gentlemen and mafiosos? Today we are going to be talking about price action on NASDAQ because NASDAQ does have very special price action and it loves to chase liquidity. So we're going to be talking about how it moves and, you know, basically kind of how to anticipate what it's going to do. Even though all actions in trading on any stock are always unique and they are never the same. But with NASDAQ, I've been trading it for about a year now, only NASDAQ, and I've noticed a few things, so I'm going to share that with you. So as you can see on my screen right here, we have the 5-minute chart. And the first thing I want to point out is that every single time we've had a top right here, like you see this, this would be a pivot point, right? Every single time it's hit it, it's swept just a little bit above it, right? And then boom, fell off a cliff, came right back up, boom, 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 bounced off this pivot point down here, bounced off there, came right back up, and look at that. Swept just a tick or two above the last high that it made over here. Okay, so we're noticing a little bit of a pattern here, right? Every time that NASDAQ likes to make a new high, and it's not like going crazy hard in a specific direction like we see over here, it likes to sweep just a little tiny bit above it. So boom, boom, came back down, retraced a little bit, reloaded for the next push up, did a massive push up, and boom, went just a few points, a few ticks above the previous high, literally just 10, 15 minutes beforehand. Okay, so we're noticing a little pattern here. When NASDAQ likes to make a move or tries to make a new high or a newer low, it does a little bit of a sweep, a little bit of a just just goes over the last high or last low just a little bit. We could see it down here too. Boom, tried to drop, stopped right here, right? 7 twice. Over here, swept it big time. You never know how big the sweep's going to be, but over here we can see, boom, swept this low just a little bit. This low swept the previous one right here just a little bit. And then this one over here swept it just a little bit more. So you see what I'm saying? NASDAQ loves to do just those little bitty sweeps if it's not going to take a giant move in the direction. Okay? So that's one thing we need to always be aware of when trading NASDAQ. Because NASDAQ is, I like to call it the stop loss fucking hunter. Because all stocks, don't get me wrong, ES, SPX, all of them, um, the market just loves to hunt liquidity, which is where people put stop losses, right? So it'll always hunt stop losses. But NASDAQ specifically likes to just go a little bit past where a majority of the stop losses are going to be, or a little bit past where it previously made a high or a low. But then over here, we see that it started making a new lower high, right? Boom. And then it dropped off a cliff, made a new lower low from over here, right? This is a new lower low right here. And then pump back up, and it didn't sweep this high right here, right? This was not a sweep of the high. So I guess my point is, what you're going to want to do, this is not financial advice, of course, but when trading is to put your entries, let's say you wanted to take a short, somewhere over here, like you saw this make a new high, and you wanted to short a double top, right? You were going for a double top play. What I would recommend, or what I would personally do, is if I saw it curling back up just like this, or on the 1 minute chart, it's probably even a little bit nicer. Oh, shit. Don't have a drawing tool on. Need to deselect that somehow. Whatever. Okay, whatever. We're going to go back to the 5 minute. But if we're trading, typically we don't even want to trade on the 1 minute because NASDAQ just moves too much. So I'd recommend trading on the 5 minute or 15 minute if you are going to be trading NASDAQ. But if you're scalping, the 1 minute can be helpful. And I like to have the 1 minute open as well next to the 5 minute just to see, micro moves, stuff like that. But as we can see here, it's boom, boom, made a new low right there. Little shift in market structure, right? So this is another thing about price action on NASDAQ. When it's trying to hold a level, right? Just like it's trying to hold this level right here, where it previously stopped right there, and it's tapped there, tapped there, tapped there, swept it here. When it wants to hold a level, if it's bullish, right, in this scenario, this specific scenario, we're talking about this play right here. When it wants to hold a level, it will always do, not always, but majority of the time, you can expect it to do a level sweep, right? So let's say we did have this level charted from, we're at all-time highs now, so it's a little bit different trading now, but we do have this level now. But as you can see, it stopped so many times over here and then swept it one more time. It's swept right here. So what we can expect from NASDAQ is to always sweep a level of support that it's been holding for, quite some time to hit everyone's stop losses, right? So this video is about price action, but we can also kind of give a little bit of information about our entries that we want to do. If you've been watching my live streams on YouTube, especially the one where I made $10,000 in 5 days with fast track trading, you could see that I had damn near perfect entries. I barely had any drawdown, and my entries were spot on because I followed this rule. When I see big push up, typically I'll join this for a little scalp, maybe get in the middle somewhere here, or on a pullback like this, and then take profit fairly quickly. But if I'm going to get in a trade like this for a breakout to go higher, I'm not going to be entering anywhere in this zone, right? I'm going to see where it kind of bottoms out, and then I'm going to pay attention to what's happening next, right? So chances are this candle pumped up a little bit, got rejected, right? That's telling me that we're going to be looking at either a fucking cliff dive or we're going for another double top, which, I typically expect a double top because that's another thing NASDAQ loves, double tops and double bottoms. So if I was to take this trade, I would not be entering at the support level that was created right here and, kind of like right here where this wick is stopping. I wouldn't be entering there because I want to play it a little bit safe. Just in case it does dump off a cliff, we want to have some breathing room. So what I would do is I would spot this level, I would chart it out just like we did right now, and then I would, if I didn't have my liquidity DOM surface up or something like that, and I couldn't see where the liquidity is, I would literally just put my entry just a few points below. And, if I'm scared that day or if I'm in deep in drawdown or something like that, then, I might put it too low and not get filled. But, if I'm trading confidently and, I'm not in drawdown and, I'm really, really wanting to get into this play, I'll put it just a few points below the support level just to make sure I get filled and possibly go into a little bit of drawdown. But then look at that. If we did enter right there, boom, 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 we would, okay. This is a very, very, very good lesson that most people need to learn. Breakouts cliff dives, all that stuff, breaking out of ranges are more rare than it actually ranging. So 75% of the time, if not 80% of the time, you want to take the base hits, right? If you guys watched the previous trendline video, then you know how to, ride a trend and go for something bigger than a base hit, right? But most of the time, you really are going to want to take those little itty bitty scalps, those little base hits to grow your portfolio and not be too greedy and definitely not overtrade. So, because NASDAQ loves to double top and we wanted to take this trade right here, we would put our limit order to buy right here. We would get filled and then we're targeting a double top, right? So this goes kind of into overtrading because we could either target the longs for the double top if we're scared that it's going to fall off a cliff, or we could target just the short of the double top. Shorts on double tops and longs on double bottoms are some of my favorite plays based on price action for NASDAQ. But there are certain things you need to be aware of when it comes to NASDAQ because it does move so fast. Like here, for example, massive cliff dive. This was what? This was like 13 points in 5 minutes, right? With 10 cons, that's, $2,500 in 5 minutes. You could have blown your Top Step account or, whatever account you're trading. But the point I'm making here is when there's massive momentum after a huge sell-off into a giant support zone, right? So we've seen that this is a massive zone right here that it loves to tap into, which, even if we don't have, some way of looking at liquidity, we could assume that there is liquidity always sitting in that zone. So patience pays. If you're looking to make an entry, and let's say you're watching this run up and you're getting FOMO, oh my god, this is going to break out and run to the moon without me, there's a very high chance it's not going to, right? Because 80% of the time it's going to range and it's not going to break out. So let's say we're still waiting, we didn't get into this move, we didn't FOMO in because FOMO is just terrible for any trader and usually causes a loss. So let's say we, oh my god, didn't get in here. Oh, we see this, you see these wicks. Oh my god, this is looking like a pretty good short, but I'm too nervous. Boom, cliff dive happens, right? Okay, we didn't catch the cliff dive. But what we did do is we did chart out that this is a massive fucking zone that it loves to tap into. And look at that. It tapped into it once right here. It just brushed it right there. And then it swept it just a little bit more over here. So after this massive cliff dive that we've been watching, we've been patient because patience pays. We've been sitting here watching the charts. It's a fair bet to assume that it's going to sweep one of these lows here. Could it be this one? We don't know. But, it depends on how greedy you want to be. I would probably go with the greedier play, or the less greedy play, by just assuming that it's going to sweep this low, the previous one, or the previous one over here, because it's consistently making smaller downticks. Now, there is the fright that it could keep continuing off the cliff, right? And that is something we got to talk about market sentiment and, identifying what kind of market we're in and stuff like that, which we'll do in another video. But this is a trade I would take almost 100% of the time, pretty much 100% of the time, because the risk to reward ratio is fantastic. we see here that if we obey our entry rules based on price action, that we think it's going to step into the zone, sweep one of the previous lows, or get at least close to it, we would put our entry somewhere over here. If not equal with the previous one, we would see maybe just a little bit of drawdown. And then our stop would be fairly tight. We would probably put the stop somewhere around here, because if it gets too deep into the zone, and we're not targeting this entry, this sweep zone, then you know it's it would just make our risk reward too high, or our risk reward ratio too high, right? So anytime I take a trade like this based on price action, I would literally keep my stop loss just like maybe 5, 6 points below, if that. So if we got in at 32, we would see, maybe a point of drawdown, and our stop loss would be around, 29, just to give us some breathing room, because stocks do need breathing room. And the same thing if we were just targeting this exact pivot point, right? Even though we can safely assume that NQ likes to sweep levels, we could still enter right on this pivot point and still, have a great risk reward ratio, still keep the stop loss in the same place as if we entered, a little bit lower. And let's say we did do that. Boom. We would catch a nice run up. We would chart our trend. Our trend would look something like this at first. And then we'd be like, okay, it's breaking the trend. Oh my God, is it going to break down and stop out? No, it didn't. Okay. Then we would start drawing our channel based on this low and this high. And boom, overshoot on the channel, overshoot on the channel, overshoot on the channel, and then a giant rip of overshoot on the channel. So, I mean, we don't know if it's going to fucking just do a crazy rip or a crazy drop. We don't know. But if it's safely above this channel and breaking down and still holding the bottom of the channel, and then pumping up crazily based on price action and volume, then it's safe to assume that we keep holding it. If we're in this trade at this point, somewhere around here, our stop would be moved to break even, because we want a risk-free trade. And if we didn't scalp it, for the 10 points or whatever, 8 points, whatever we wanted to, or if it broke the top of this channel and we didn't take the entry, and we're running a trend line play here, then as long as it holds the channel, we're moving our stop loss up, right? And it does like to overshoot channels sometimes. But if it does overshoot the channel, then maybe it is time to get out. But as we can see here, it tapped directly at the bottom of the channel, fucking squeezed up, did a massive rip up, and here's another lesson. On any extremely bullish move up, extremely bullish, and this is something that's extremely bullish. Maybe this one right here, because it turned into a doji, we would get a little afraid. But if on this pop up, we want to take profit, because we never know if it's going to get back up to that level. Of course, it ended up blasting up even higher for whatever reason. We don't know. But it's safe to say, if it blows up in extreme speed, it's always okay to exit the position and take your profit, and then maybe even look for a new entry. Like, let's say we did take profit right there. Maybe we'd look for a new entry in the middle of the channel or the bottom of the channel. But nope, it decided to keep ripping up, and then it just did a giant rip, and we saw this wick happening. That would be pretty much safe for a short entry. It had a giant rip. It swept this high by quite a bit. It would be safe to say that we're going to see some kind of retracement before a rip higher, unless market sentiment is just beyond retarded bullish. Okay? So it's up to your discretion and through your years of trading and or your time trading and your chart time to decide, if you're gonna take the short play there or if you're just gonna take the long profits and be done for the day, which I would recommend because over trading has killed me so many times. I've done it way too many times, and it's more of a burden than anything. It is much better to, focus, be patient, watch price action, and look for the fucking perfect moment to go in for the kill, get that execution mafia style, and take that money and get the fuck out and be done for the day. But based on price action, we had a high over here, right? We would chart this right there. We probably would have charted this one day when it hit that high. So after it swept it, because NQ loves to sweep highs, this was a pretty massive sweep. We would probably be sitting there waiting and being like, oh shit, okay, this might just completely fucking just moon to the fucking end of the universe. You know what I mean? Who knows what's gonna happen? But we're not gonna chase it because that's stupid. Chasing almost always results in getting fucked. But if you are gonna chase, you take few tick scalps, few point scalps, and you're out. That's only if you decide to chase. Recommend not chasing. But at this point, we saw the sweep, right? Holy shit. What does NQ love to do after a sweep of the highs? It likes to pull back. And we see this countless times based on price action. We see a huge sweep right here, boom, pull back. We see another sweep right here, boom, pull back. We see another giant sweep right here, boom, pull back. And that's just how NQ moves. It sweeps highs and it pulls back. Rarely, very, very rarely does it ever just go straight up. And that's something that people have in their head that, if they're in a position that it's never going to turn around on them. There's always a point where it's going to have a significant pullback, and there's always a point where it's going to pull back very, very fast. Because look at this. Look at what we're doing right now. This is live right now, by the way. This is the London session. Well, let's see what happens right here. We just swept this high. We have a giant bullish trend right here. It could not break that low. So we'll draw our trend line right here. We'll get rid of this channel because this is no longer in play. And this is a time we don't use a channel because look at how crazy this uptrend is. It's insane. But look at that. Boom. It swept that high. Now it's rejecting. And there's a good chance that it's going to pull back significantly. Maybe just to this support level right here. Maybe just right here. But because it swept it so viciously, there's a good chance it's going to pull back. But we don't know what's going to happen. We're going to sit here and we're going to wait and see. We'll make this video a little bit longer than it needs to be just to see what happens with this trade. Because let's say we did enter a short right here. Let's go into replay mode right here. We're going to sell right here. Keep trading, your session lost. Oh. Okay, maybe I can't do replay mode. But let's see what happens here. Because, just like we talked about, it did make a new high. It swept it, just like it swept this one right here. Retraced, bottomed out. Now it's pulling back significantly. So based on price action, anytime that price sweeps a new high, we would want to either peel off a little bit of profit, take off the entire position and wait for a new entry, or just move our stop loss up to somewhere very, very safe. Because if this is a stupid bullish run, like it's starting to look like, but not so much because we have about 3 minutes left on this. It really could still just keep rushing up, but we want to be safe. We want to protect our profits, and we want to keep as much of it as possible. So maybe it would be a good idea to move our stop loss, right below this candle. And sure, we might get stopped out, but then if it breaks down below this candle, let's say back to this support level, then we could re-enter if we're still bullish for the next run up. Or, we could keep trailing our stop, and if this is stupid bullish, then we could just keep on making money while it goes up to fucking Neverland. Because, 80% of the time it doesn't do it, but 20% of the time it does just fucking run up massively non-stop. And there's usually a little bit of a pullback at some point, but there's some days where it just never stops going up. Like right now, it's just fucking running up like crazy. And it's already swept that high, like we saw over here. And this is very different price action than what we've seen. Last time it swept the high, it wicked, came down. The wick was massive. And then it got followed by a bearish engulfing. Right now, I mean, we still have, what, a minute 30 left in this bullish candle? It's already swept this high quite a bit. It's obeying the trend line fantastically. This is a semi-safe bet that we're going on a big-ass bull run for the London session, surprisingly. The day before the 4th of July. This is the Americans celebrating their independence by buying up NASDAQ non-fucking stop. And look at that. Boom, we got another massive push up. It's wicking. We still have 50 seconds on this candle. Let's see what's going to happen. Because if we see a giant wick and it does break that trend line, then based on price action, we've already swept the previous high, and 80% of the time, NASDAQ and stocks in general like to range. Let's see if we're going to break back into the range. And I don't think we'll come back all the way down to this zone because, as we can see, we've tapped into that zone multiple times, and then we stopped tapping into that zone, and we got this giant run up. So we're obviously in a bullish market, and market sentiment is bullish right now. But, we did fucking peak right here. We had a huge run up. This might even be all-time high right now. No, it's not all-time highs. All-time high is 20,371 at the moment. But we're still holding our beautiful trend line. We did have a giant wick right there, but the next candle opened up mega bullish. See what we're looking at on the 15. Yep, still looking super bullish, still making higher highs nonstop. It's safe to assume that this is a trend play. This is a beautiful trend play. Now, at some points, we do want to start taking profits, and we could always re-enter. This a fallacy that so many people have is, oh my God, my entry was so sick, I caught the bottom. I could just hold this forever and, keep my stop loss at break even, and, maybe I'll make $100,000 on this trade. That's something that you probably don't want to do because, this is London session. New York session could distribute in a very different way. It could fucking be completely bearish, while London is super bullish. So you're going to be wanting to take profit on runs up. And you could always just re-enter. Never be afraid to get out of your position right here for a massive profit. Never be afraid to take your profit and either call it a day or patiently wait to see what's going to happen for the next few candles. And then look for a re-entry to, continue running with the trend based on price action. But right now, we're seeing heavy wickage. We still have 3 minutes left on this candle, so maybe it'll keep pumping up. But, we never know what's going to happen. And NASDAQ loves to whip us around. So you never know if, we move our stop loss somewhere over here. If it's going to top out next 5 minutes, boom, dumps all the way down to here. You just never know. So it's always good to take money on the run up and keep your take profits, move your take profits up if you want, or just market sell on any fucking massive push up because there's always another opportunity in the market. There's always another chance to make another trade. So one rule is do not marry your trades. Even if you have the sickest entry in the world, still move your stop loss up, still look to take profit, and you could always just re-enter and still continue riding the trend if you want to. Okay? Now, I think that's enough for this session. There will be more videos based on price action, but I mean, you guys get the gist. Nasdaq loves to sweep highs just by a little bit, just by a little bit. Nasdaq loves to range 80% of the time. Stocks rarely move in one direction. So, always take your profits and keep your stop losses tight. And golly, is this just a mega bull run? So this is a beautiful, beautiful trend play right here. I mean, if we were in this, we could just keep our stop loss all the way down here. We could, but then what if it does just come back on us super fast? You know what I mean? Greed is a killer. So, I mean, if you caught a run like this, fuck me. Maybe, fucking, maybe take profit and re-enter. Sell half the position, wait for a pullback, enter back into that full position. You never know. I mean, it's up to your discretion. We'll have a trade management video coming soon, so you'll watch that based on how I manage my trades and how I was able to have, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 days, and when I was trading options, a $240,000 day. Um, but it's you kind of get it, right? Nasdaq loves to sweep highs by just a little bit, and it's just it's just not the right mindset to have to think that every push up or every sweep of the high is going to be a breakout like this one. It's just not the right mindset to have. So always be careful when you're playing for breakouts or you're playing tops or bottoms. Because, let's say, oh my God, like this just fell off a cliff for like the fifth time. It's tapped this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh my God, 8, 9, 10. Oh my, it's been like 10 times. It's tested this low. It's gotta fall off a cliff at some point. And let's say you showed up late and you entered short somewhere over here. You were playing some kind of trend like this. Like, oh my God, it's testing this trend line. It's gonna fall off the cliff. We don't know. Most of the time, it's not gonna fucking make the breakout. 80% of the time, it's not gonna do it. So, based on price action, try to not play the breakouts and take your profits semi-early. It's always okay to leave money on the table as long as you secure some profit. But just like our trendline video, if you caught this trend, fucking run it up. Make your massive day. Get your massive W for the day. You know what I mean? This trend could easily keep going. We're just seeing a little bit of a pullback, nothing too crazy bearish, still holding the trend line. So maybe you do hold this trade unless it breaks, this level somewhere down here. If it breaks this level somewhere down here, then chances are, it might not just be a normal pullback. You never know. But on a giant run up, there's typically always going to be a pullback. So if you do catch a giant fucking push up, at least take some off. And then on a pullback, if you're convinced that it is going to be a bullish trend, could always add back in. You know what I mean? Like this wouldn't be a bad place to add back in to continue the uptrend. If you believe that it is going to continue. So that's what we have for price action today. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay cool, Mafia. Peace.